Good morning from paradise. So happy to be here, surfers. We are joined with the man, the myth, the legend, Shaman, a good friend of ours. Man, we were in the trenches back in like 2017, 2018 together. One of the few OGs who frankly survived this long because crypto's fucking brutal. But it's great to be joined with our boy Shaman today. We're going to be covering markets. We're going to be covering some trade setups, some alpha gems, some low cap gems he's looking at. Just pick his brain. Real smart guy, been around the block. So we're definitely happy to have him on here. First of all, let's just get your take on these markets. Like, it's been a crazy bull run, hasn't it? So weird. So weird. What's your take? How does this compare to the last few bull runs you've been in?
I think everyone's expected this bull run to play out exactly the same as the last. And by the way, good to see you two. I should have came in there. I'm not wearing my glasses or anything. I've just come in I'm just like, right, let's go. It's like we just said to him, let's jump on. This is all just free flowing, isn't it? So, everyone expected this bull run to be the same as the last. And even myself, I'm an Ethereum maxi, so I prefer to invest in Ethereum. Although I do expose myself to Bitcoin. So we're watching Bitcoin going parabolic, and we're all like, okay, Ethereum's coming next, and there we go. Honestly, I can't even tell you how it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. There's not a single day goes by where I don't get at least 5 people asking me, how do I get involved in crypto? People who I know and things, old friends and people who generally saw me talking about crypto and just think, oh, I'll just jump in. And obviously they see the end result. But as you said then, we traded together for many years. I think we've known each other now for at least 7 years, possibly 8. I think it could be 8 years. And you know yourself how hard it is when you're in the trenches because you're locked in, aren't you? And what I'm trying to explain to people at the moment is you have to focus. It's really hard because do you know what I find really hard? When the family comes round to my house because I see the football, see the F1, see Elon Musk's latest rocket launch. Did you see the win the other day? And then you get every single subject. They're talking about anything and everything. People are so scattered. And I've never been like that. So I've always had my niche. And when I found crypto, I was, gagging to get involved. And I immersed myself in this space. So I don't know much about anything else. I'm kind of watching the markets constantly. I'm trying to explain to people how it does drain the life out of you sometimes, doesn't it? When the markets are how they are now. So Bitcoin's gone parabolic. That's great. But everything else has been destroyed. Altcoins. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I've never seen altcoins get decimated the way they have now. And there are a lot of questions to be asked, but it's obvious that Bitcoin has become an institutional asset class. Wall Street's all over it, governments, banks, and all the institutions are now buying it up. And because it's only got a supply of 21 million and you've got all this demand, Bitcoin is just going parabolic. And it's going to probably continue. But I do think we're going to see, the usual 50% at least drawdown, maybe early next year. I'll come back to that in a minute. But as I was saying before, I'm an Ethereum maxi. So I'm sitting here now looking at Ethereum at 3,800 while Bitcoin is at 116,000. And Bitcoin's all-time high in the last cycle was 70k. Ethereum's was 5,000, and there we are now at 3,800. It's
I'm happy about it. I'm ecstatic. I'm like, hey, at least it's not at 1,600 like it was a month ago. But yeah, man, it's been a crazy bull run. I mean, Bitcoin's done great, like you said. But but don't you think eventually capital is going to flow back into alts? It's going to flow into ETH, some of the big caps, and then kind of go down the stack. Or do you feel like that cycle is played out and not going to happen?
I've been thinking about this a lot. As I said before, all I think about is crypto. And over the last few weeks, I've been looking...
I won't say wife and kids you said that.
I know, yeah. They come second. I'm joking. So Bitcoin dominance right now is 62%. That's obviously the market share of Bitcoin against the entire crypto market. Ethereum dominance is 12%. You can pretty much say that Bitcoin and Ethereum alone is 75% of the entire crypto space. And then you've got all the stable coins, USDC, USDT, DAI, everything else, all the smaller ones, you could say 8%. And then you've got XRP, which is 4% dominance, Solana, which is 2% dominance. listen, you could go up to probably 85, 86% just with this small sector. So you're left with 14 to 15% of the entire crypto space, which is hundreds of thousands of shitcoins, mostly illiquid shitcoins, in this 14 to 15%. Tiny, tiny, tiny. I don't think people realize this. So, as you said then, we're now seeing Bitcoin dominance topping. So the biggest question right now is, because everyone's looking at the Fed, aren't they? Because the Fed's been hawkish, and until they switch, hawkish is where they're raising interest rates, they're not spending money, they're not stimulating the economy, and the economy goes into a recession eventually, and then they have to start reducing interest rates and then stimulating. And the last bull run, the catalyst to that was the government printing money, wasn't it? Everyone's
We were
waiting.
getting checks. We were getting checks sent to us because of COVID and shit, and it was fucking great because people took those checks and deposited them in the crypto casino. We benefited. So where are my checks, Trump? Are the checks? But no, I think you're right. Bitcoin dominance very high, historically quite high still. But money will eventually flow. The Fed is going to cut rates here. We've been on record for a while now. We predicted a September rate cut even a few months back. That was definitely in the cards. So I think we're okay. ETH is definitely going to break all-time highs. Let me get you to agree to that. Do you think ETH is going to break its previous all-time high, hit 5,000?
Absolutely. So what I just want to say is, as you said then, Bitcoin dominance topping. It looks like it's breaking down. Ethereum. So Bitcoin dominance has come down 5%. Ethereum dominance has gone up 5%. So basically, as you said, the capital is flowing from Bitcoin into Ethereum. But altcoins only start heating up once Ethereum gets going. That's the catalyst for altcoins to heat up. Now, normally, October, November are the most bullish months of the year. Every single bull run in the past, you had the final phase, the parabolic phase in October, November, and then it went on into late November, early December. But then obviously, end of December, you've got Christmas, holidays, end of year tax. There's so many reasons to why people. So I'm not saying for 1 minute now, but I am saying for 1 minute actually. So I think that we are going to get this parabolic phase come October, maybe late September. As you said, if the Fed starts to cut rates in September, and everyone's waiting for this, but don't you normally find that it gets front run? So obviously, it's pretty corrupt, isn't it? There's going to be loads of people on the inside that know the Fed are going to start cutting rates. I mean, you've seen Donald Trump, haven't you? He launched that Trump token, and he had a dinner, and he shared the contract address early with all those people. I mean, it's a massive. They're so scammy. So I've got no doubt in my mind that we're going to see the market heating up if we do get those cuts. Now, in the UK, they're cutting interest rates in the UK. So, people are now looking at the US, and they've been holding off as long as possible. But what I don't understand is, I'm pretty sure the US is now technically in a recession. I'm pretty sure you guys are.
Terrible job reports. I think we're, flirting with it. I don't technically a recession means I think 2 quarters of negative, something like that. So there's a technical definition. We haven't hit that, but these revisions on the job numbers were, very eye-opening because it was like, thought we created 200,000. No, it was 70,000. Massive revisions downward. So the Fed's going to cut rates in September, like 94% chance now. The betting markets are saying that's what's going to happen. So I don't know. I don't you think? Then we'll turn it over to Nick. But don't you think this bull run then has a chance to go further or go longer than historically? Because we were kind of delayed at the early phase of this, and if we're just getting the rate cut in September, that only leaves 2 months. Not a lot of time. Bitcoin's got to hit 200K, doesn't it? So we got I think maybe a few more months. So I think maybe we could maybe go into 2026 with this.
What I think is that institutional money is what is driving the crypto market right now. It's not retail money. And
True.
What you've got is bigger institutions, Wall Street banks, pension funds, governments now as well. They're looking at crypto. Now, crypto is 1%. Supposedly, I read that it's 1% of the entire financial sector. So it's tiny. But in that, as I said before, Bitcoin and Ethereum is 75% of that 1%. So when these bigger players are coming in, playing with huge money, they're looking for liquid markets where they can buy and sell and not affect the market. Whereas, as I was saying, you've got 15% of the entire crypto market, hundreds of thousands of shitcoins in that tiny bracket. They're not able to enter that market. It's illiquid. So this is why now. And you've also got the spot ETF, which is Bitcoin and Ethereum. They're the only two to have the spot ETFs, which allows. And I think as well, if you look at these asset management firms, BlackRock, Fidelity, Vanguard, ARK Investment, Liberty Capital, or is that even an asset management firm, actually? That's Trump's VC, whatever you want to call it. But I think that they are setting up the infrastructure for the traditional financial system to invest in crypto. And the way that they're doing it is through those spot ETFs. So as you know, an ETF is an exchange traded fund. It's a bundle of assets. In some cases, it's 5,000. So BlackRock just organizes, or Vanguard or whatever, they all provide ETFs and they all have different assets. Now, they could just add 0.5% of that ETF into Bitcoin. And the institution wouldn't even know. And they're doing that. That's how they're doing it. They're giving. So all these bigger players are getting exposure to Bitcoin and Ethereum through the spot ETFs. But because no other crypto has got a spot ETF, the institutional money is only coming into Bitcoin and Ethereum. So at the moment, and I think eventually Solana and other coins will get a spot ETF, but Ethereum is getting a spot staking ETF. I'm sure you've heard about that. This is huge because it's going to allow all these institutional players to come into crypto and earn passive income. And once interest rates start coming down, they're going to move out of the bond market, out of their bank accounts, into the traditional markets and crypto. And they're going to enter Bitcoin and Ethereum, and especially Ethereum, because Bitcoin's already ran. Even though Bitcoin is the best hedge against inflation, is the digital gold and all that, it's at 120,000 now. I mean, come on, they're not idiots. They're not going to keep buying it all the way to 1 million.
We'll see with Michael Saylor. He'll keep buying to 1 million. But ETH is massively undervalued, and I do agree that that's why.
Yeah, he will.
I do think the institutions are looking at ETH. We've seen that with the strategic reserve, ETH strategic reserves. We cover that heavily. But Nick, you just pulled up a chart there. I don't know, what you wanted to point out. I think it may have been the dominance figures.
Yeah, we were just looking at the Bitcoin dominance, and essentially it looks like there's a bear flag forming, which is kind of what Shaman was alluding to, that you're looking for the Bitcoin dominance to continue to fall and Ethereum to continue to gain market share. And that will bleed over into the altcoins. And then, of course, retail is not here yet. This is all institutional money for the most part, or OGs. Retail is slowly coming to the market, but we don't have retail euphoria. So, I mean, this is this bear flag that people have been tracking on the Bitcoin dominance. We've been tracking it here, and essentially it would be a breakdown, and that would put you sub 60% dominance for Bitcoin. And at the same time, you'd look for the Ethereum dominance to the Ethereum Bitcoin chart to rise. So this was kind of fake out. I said live on air that, hey, you don't want to see this finish and be a head and shoulder because it's going to drop rapidly. Instead, we're looking for an upside target of the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart up here around 3,800. And I've been on the record saying if Ethereum just gets back to its previous high against Bitcoin, which you can see up here, that it did last bull market, up here around 7,000, 8,000. If Ethereum gets back to these levels, doesn't even need to outperform beyond that, and if Bitcoin goes to, say, $244,000 Bitcoin, that Ethereum could be $22,000, and that's where the gap is. That's where the price performance is. For instance, institutions can get in now and get an 8x on ETH plus passive income versus 2x on Bitcoin with no passive income. And that's why I think you see Thomas Lee, Joe Lubin, and these Ethereum strategic reserves starting to catch on, and that's why I think they will outperform the likes of MicroStrategy and some of the other Bitcoin reserves moving forward.
I think Ethereum will eventually flip Bitcoin, and everyone thinks I'm crazy. But as you said then, Ethereum has got so much more going for it. Yeah, Bitcoin is digital gold, but it hasn't got a use case other than that. Ethereum has got a use case utility. 90% of the products and projects in crypto, protocols, most of the DeFi total value locks on Ethereum, and all the narratives, real world assets, the tokenization of everything, stocks, bonds, commodities, real estate, anything with intrinsic value. the spot staking ETF, as we said, and then the entire global financial system is being integrated into the Ethereum blockchain. People are saying, yeah, but you got Solana and Sui. But Ethereum turned 10 years old a week ago. They've been building the infrastructure for the entire global financial system to be integrated into Ethereum, and it's ready. It's already happening. Like Ian said before, there's already businesses on Wall Street integrating and utilizing the Ethereum blockchain. So traditional finance is moving into Ethereum, and we're now seeing this huge tidal wave of capital moving into Ethereum. But I think what's really important to understand, and I've not seen anyone talking about this, I want to talk about it for 2 minutes, is supply and demand is obviously the biggest factor. Now, with Bitcoin, it's only a 21 million supply of Bitcoin. With Ethereum, it's 120 million. So with Bitcoin, you can push the price. Normally, you get a mid-cycle flush. This is where they flush out anyone who's not got conviction, anyone who bought just for a bit of a laugh, anyone who's not believing in, and then they buy back the supply, they push it again, and then they entice all the normies to come in and buy it really high. But with Ethereum, because the supply is 5.5 times bigger than Bitcoin, they can't just push it up. So what they do is they send it sideways, they shake it down, they have these flush outs, and they're waiting for this capitulation period where everybody starts selling, and we just had it. That was what that sell-off was about in the last couple of months. That was all the non-believers and people who haven't got conviction, people who shouldn't even be trading or investing, just who bought Ethereum during the bear market of 2022, 2023. Remember, Ethereum came down to 850, 900. You had loads of people buying it because it was just, oh, well, it's pretty cheap. But they don't really understand what it is. They don't believe in it. So what happens is, once the price starts going up, those people are constantly selling. And we're talking hundreds of thousands of these people. It isn't just a few of them. So the market maker, which is all the asset management firms, the Ethereum Foundation, and, you know, all the brokers and exchanges, they all work together to manipulate the price in a way so they're just shaking it and suppressing it. And eventually, anyone who's not got conviction, who doesn't believe or understand what's going on, they will sell. And I think we had that capitulation phase in the last few months, and now Ethereum is ready to go. But when it's going to go, I mean, who are we to... I mean, I think we've done all right. Ian was saying before about the guy who comes in and throws $5 in a meme. I mean, yeah, okay, we're a little bit above that, aren't we, boys? But
it only took 8 years, but
what are Wales?
yeah, I mean that's going to your very first point, which is if you want to make money in crypto, it's very hard to be a tourist. It's very hard to come in, you know, month here, month there. Oh, market's running. I'll pay attention now. I guess you can make a couple percentage points if you do it like that, but you're not going to do the 10x, 50x, 100x if you're just kind of popping in occasionally. You got to be in the trenches. You got to be really in for this long term. And it's no different than any other investment class, right? Like you have to be oriented to make money. But I do want to. Can you guys see the screen here on the?
Yeah.
So this is a chart. I like to pull this chart up because when people start to question where Ethereum could go, you know, could it go higher than Bitcoin's price? And I don't know. You know, market cap is really the question more so than price. That's what you want to look at. But and I don't know.
I've seen it at rank 8 on this site. I've seen Ethereum at rank 8 on this site in the last cycle.
So yeah, here these are the biggest. This is the most valuable companies in the world, right? So right now, Ethereum's at 24. It's worth 462 billion. Don't you think it's possible to break, say, Meta this cycle? 2 trillion. I think that's very possible. Because remember too, like everything is going to move up. I mean, it's, you know, we have now for the first time ever 2 companies valued. Well, Microsoft was worth 4 trillion a few weeks ago. Now it's only a mere 3.8 trillion. Nvidia over 4 trillion. Obviously, gold is absurdly overvalued, in my opinion, and that's where you get the $1 million Bitcoin estimates. By the way, if you just look at gold's market cap, and then you say to yourself, "Well, Bitcoin is digital gold,
yeah,
right? Bitcoin is a better version of gold. It's scarce, right? There's high demand for it, but it's more fungible. You can send it around the world easier. You can actually buy stuff with it if you're dumb enough to try to do that.
It's limited. I mean, gold, they're always finding new gold deposits.
Yeah, gold and a supply, and then just wait till they start mining the asteroids.
Yeah.
But
the moon.
Bitcoin can do it 10 times, and then it would hit the market cap of gold. And by the way, I don't think any of us are saying it's happening in this cycle.
No.
I don't think Bitcoin's going to $1 million this cycle.
I think,
but 10 years?
Yeah.
10 years? Why not 10 years? That's 2 more halving cycles, right? If Bitcoin doubles in price every couple of years, which seemingly that's what the case, then we will hit $1 million Bitcoin in the next 10, 15 years, say. So that's definitely in the card. And then Ethereum. Let's go back to Ethereum. Certainly, I think we can double or likely triple the market cap this cycle, right? Yeah. Bitcoin's going high, and then money's flowing down from Bitcoin into ETH. I think ETH can have. Now, will it sustain? Will it stay there for a long period of time? Probably not. Yeah, ETH is volatile. But I think we will see $10,000 ETH this cycle. That's only less than a 3x from where we're at. And that would bring us to, say, the market caps of like a Tesla, for example. So I think very reasonable. Not reasonable, but expectation is not out of the realm.
It's conservative, isn't it? It's conservative.
It's conservative. It makes sense when you look at the values of some of these companies out there and you think the wall of Wall Street money that's pouring into the space right now. And that kind of goes back to the question of whether this bull run ends, when it traditionally would end. And I don't know, because if like all this Wall Street money and the ETFs and the institutions and Bitmine and Tom Lee and you can go on and on.
Yeah.
If they're buying, are they just going to stop buying in 4 months from now?
The way that I look at it is all these institutional players and Wall Street. Them buying is going to mean that it's going to get even more manipulated. That's the way that I look at it. I don't look at it as, and I understand where you're coming from, and I get you, but I think they're selling that, aren't they? They're kind of selling that, well, it's going to be a longer cycle because you've got all the smart money now buying it. But smart money is normally the ones that are playing the market. So I've got marked out on my chart here because every single cycle in the past, how many days? 1 second, let me just measure this quickly while I'm on my chart now. It's around 560 days after the halving, the market always tops every single time. Now, listen, maybe it won't top, but I've got it as 25th of November.
I'm just not ready for it to end because this feels so
it's not even start.
Season. I haven't had a single 100x play in like 3 or 4 years. We're not making any money. Okay, yeah, my ETH's doing okay. Bitcoin's done great. Okay, great. But there's been no adrenaline. There's been no fucking this is going on.
This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying, though. It's not that adrenaline and all that hype and that and all this dopamine craze trading. This comes from retail environment. And there's no retail coming into crypto. It's all
my bags, goddammit.
No one's got any money.
I know. We need the Fed to cooperate. We need stimulus. We need, quantitative easing, whatever you want to call it. I know they're floating the idea of a tariff rebate. If they start sending out $600 checks of a tariff rebate, because the government now here in the U.S. is collecting so much money every month from these tariffs, they're floating the idea of a tariff rebate, $600 to every taxpayer. Hey, that'll go into the crypto casino. So let's see. Let's see. But I'm just not ready to say, okay, we only have 3 more months of this bull run. I'm not ready to accept that in my mind.
To be honest, I love that, bro. I love that. And I like the fact that you are coming across with that. And I'm sort of coming with more of a, but it has been brutal. This last 9 months.
I'm probably going to take some profits at the end of this year, just in case I'm wrong. I'm not going to be like, I'm riding in my entire, because I'm fully invested in the market. I don't have a lot of stable coins.
Yeah.
And that actually did burn me in the last, it didn't burn me because I didn't sell, but it mentally was a little bit of struggle when, Trump and the tariffs and the market crashed. And I'm like, oh my God, my portfolio was down by many thousands of dollars. And you're kind of like, fuck, should I have sold the top? So you don't make that mistake. You take some profits. Nothing wrong with taking profits at the end of this year. Probably a wise move.
Yeah.
Or are you exiting all of your positions and moving fully into stables? I don't know.
I think building a plan now and knowing what you're gonna do and sticking to that, because you know what it's like, bro. If you
That's
haven't
the
got
thing, man.
if you haven't got a plan and this shit goes wild, you're just like, I'm on for
holding for another 2 weeks.
let's fucking go, boys. And have you seen all the Instagram? Have you seen the Instagram reels of like people who were like, I forget what it is now, but it's like, told my homie I was gonna sell, but I decided to hold, and then they're like, Bitcoin's at 120,000. You're like, I'm holding, fuck it. And then it's like, oh, Neo out the Matrix, where he turns round to face the agents, and he's like, let's go. And then next minute, wrecked. But I think you're right in what you said. Take some profit. The way that I play the game is, I told you this before on the last time I came on. I had to a degree, but once it depends on how overbought and oversold the market is and what stage of the cycle we're in. But once
if we're seeing in November, end of November, and ETH is still like if ETH's at 4,500, are you just saying I'm exiting the market?
No,
that's
so exactly. Great.
So it's kind of like it's hard to say.
That's great.
Right,
so at that point, I would take a third. I would sell a third. If we get to November, where I've marked out where I think the cycle top's going to be, and we look like, because the stock market's a bit funny at the moment. Housing is a bit but as I said, it looks like a recession's on the horizon. But a recession isn't always a bad thing. It's actually healthy. It's healthy for the economy because
it's fairly healthy if you're in risk assets when the Fed has to cut rates to near zero and pump our bags. Sucks for everyone who lost their jobs, but great when they pump our bags. So let's subtly pray for the recession. No, just kidding. We don't want the recession. What you want is like close to a recession.
Yeah,
we got it. We got the scare. We got the jobs report scare, forcing the Fed to take drastic action. I don't know. I'm thinking they may even do a jumbo cut, 50 basis point cut like they did last September.
Yeah. Don't you?
Or maybe a 25% or 25 basis point. We'll see.
Don't you think?
Either way, I'm not ready to accept that this bull run is ending.
I'm loving this. I'm loving Ian. Ian is killing me tonight. But what was I going to say to you then? Don't you think, though, Donald Trump is going to pull all the strings, and while he's in power, and bear in mind this is the last time he's going to be in power, he is going to make sure the markets explode. Yeah. I'm not even American. I'm like, fucking go, boys.
We were fawning over Trump this morning, or I was, and I'm a reformed anti-Trumper. I didn't like Trump the first go-around. I thought he was overboard with a lot of different things. I didn't like, because he's just not, I come from a group of people, you expect politicians, they got to be educated, they got to talk the right way, Ivy League, they got to be this,
and he comes in like, yeah.
He comes in like a wrecking ball, kind of a working class vibe, and that's just, you know what I mean, and all my group of friends were very against it. But now, this time around, man, Trump 2.0, and he hasn't changed his demeanor and stuff, but the policies, he's been crushing it.
Yeah.
In fact, today, the rumors is now, more than rumors, it's basically confirmed, that he is going to be signing an executive order, which says that Americans can now invest through their 401k into alternative asset classes like Bitcoin and crypto, Ethereum, etc.
Wow.
This is wonderful. I mean, that's why the market's doing all that. So Trump is going to continue to pull, and he's not done. He's not done. He's not like, oh, okay, well, that's all. He's going to keep pulling the tricks out of it.
Started less than a year ago, and it's a 4-year term, isn't it? It's a 4-year
term.
It ain't even been a year yet. Not even been a year.
We got it in January. It's been like 6 months, 7 months.
Yeah. So the way that I'm looking at it, is, could there be? Because obviously it's 4-year cycles normally, isn't it? And we're sort of due. Back end of this year, we're due. Now,
we're due. We're absolutely due at the end of this year. I mean, that would historically be when, and that's why I am going to take profits at that time. I'm not going to not take profits, because I've been burned. Once you've been burned too many times, round tripping bags, you're like, all right, I got to just take profits. Now, will I completely exit all of my positions and sell all of my Bitcoin and all of my Ethereum and move it into stables and just wait? I don't know if I'm ready to commit to that. I mean,
I've been on the record for a while now saying I think this cycle goes beyond the 4-year halving. I think the 4-year halving cycle breaks, but it breaks for the extension. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I know that the people in altcoins want that to happen, want it to go into 2026. But I just think everything's brewing for that. The Fed is late to cutting rates, so we still have that coming. We still have the Strategic Reserve of America figuring out how they're going to buy more Bitcoin. Remember, the U.S. Strategic Reserve is in place, but they haven't figured out a way to buy more assets yet. And that's coming. That's what they're working on as well. You haven't seen the staking rewards for Ethereum ETF yet. BlackRock's pushing for that. You think they're going to get that through? It is only BlackRock, so that's probably going to happen.
I think they're timing it all. I think
that will be doing. The SEC has to confirm that by or that application, because they apply. They apply for these kind of of features to be added to these, deadline for actually approving it or denying it. The final deadline is, I believe, sometime in October or latest November. So that would time up nicely too with bullish, whatever bull market.
And the only thing from a ETF perspective as well, the best performing alternative asset ETF in history was gold. And after that gold ETF was approved, it went on a 10-year bull market. Now, I don't think Bitcoin and digital assets can do 10-year bull markets. I mean, maybe they can, who knows? But remember, these are Bitcoin is 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. So maybe we can do the math and see what that equates to. But that did happen with gold. So, now we have the Bitcoin ETF. Now we have the ETH ETF. It's a different ball game when you have long-term institutional money coming into play because they are selling their clients to buy these assets and hold these assets. Because every quarter that you hold the asset, they make money for managing your account and keeping you long. So that's why I think that the 4-year halving cycle could break. And I've been saying it would lead it into 2026. I'm not there yet to say, hey, infinite bull market, we only have 30% dips. But I do believe that we could break the 4-year halving cycle. And I think, hey, the self-fulfilling prophecy of the 4-year halving cycle could cause a dip in Q4. And it goes down 20%, 30%. Everybody says, see, 4-year halving cycle, it's over, exit all your positions, and then before you know it, 30% dip eaten up, and we go to new highs into Q1 2026. And a lot of people get
that's something Wall Street would do, isn't it?
Yeah. This is the hard part. It's when you get that sell-off during the end of the cycle, and then do you start buying back in once it dropped 30%? How many people have done this in the past? People watching now probably like, I did that shit. And luckily, last cycle, I stayed out of the market. And the main reason is because I do this full time. So I couldn't risk putting my money in early and hoping it was going to bounce. Instead, what I said to myself was, I'm going to wait for a real opportunity. Now, if I don't get it, I'll find an opportunity, because an opportunity always comes at some stage or another, rather than trying to force an opportunity by putting the money in and hoping it miraculously bounces. Because you know what I'm saying, don't you? Like you were saying before, you had this massive crash, Donald Trump, everything came down, and you were like, my portfolio. That was an opportunity, wasn't it? Ethereum coming down to 1,400 a couple of months ago, that was an opportunity. We can sit here now and talk about all the opportunities in the last year, probably name 10 or 12. Yeah, there's not thousands, but you get at least 10 a year, massive opportunities, and they always come. So my philosophy, again, at the end of this cycle, is going to be to take a decent amount of profit. Yeah, obviously, as you said, if I'm honest with you now, 30% of my entire portfolio was in Bitcoin, 50% was in Ethereum, 10% was in stable coins, and the rest was in altcoins. And Bitcoin completely, I say saved me, didn't save me, but it made my life much fucking easier because I made really good money. And I was buying Bitcoin from 27,000 down to 18. It dropped to 15 and a half or 16. And then I was selling it from 78 to 108. I'm fully out at 108. Now, I'm more than happy with that. I'm sure you guys can agree. If you're talking big money now and you've just made, I'm not going to say how much, but it was decent. But 50% of my portfolio is, or more now. Actually, I put a lot of Bitcoin profits into Ethereum. Too high, actually. Because at the time, Bitcoin was soaring and Ethereum was behind it. And I was like, it's about to go. So I was buying Ethereum.
Ethereum, and it's going to break 4,000, and that's what in January. That's what it hit, right? And then of course it goes the opposite.
Yeah.
So look, that's the thing about trading, though, too, right? Again, you're a very experienced guy. You're 24/7 in these markets. You're 7 or 8 years in these markets. So you have the skills, the experience, the emotional regulation, all the tools that you need to trade in these markets. But a lot of people, what they would have done in your situation, they would have just made a bajillion mistakes along the way. They would sell and never bought back in. Or they would, right? Because I got friends who...
They would have made decisions on impulse, because obviously it's quite emotional. And a lot of...
it's so hard. For me, honestly, I just hold my Bitcoins. I've done the trading the Bitcoins thing back in my early days. Never really went well. Just found better to hold it myself.
Yeah.
Ethereum, I just have a special, place in my heart for my Bitcoin.
Ethereum, I've got that emotional connection
my friends
to
were
it.
like, dude, if you could trade them, and if you just time this, that, I'm like, dude, but I wouldn't have timed it properly. Almost nobody does.
But just
that's me. I mean, if you're watching the show, you can take bits and pieces. Maybe you're more like BitShaman, where you're trading and you're making,
I'm not
and Nick's
trading.
very good at it too.
Yeah, so I'm a position trader and
modeling this shit.
yeah, I'm a position trader and investor, so I'm more long term. But I think it's easy and to be longer term because we were in the trenches together, trading 24/7, all the tiny coins, trying to build up our portfolio. And then at a certain degree, once you've made a couple of $100,000, you start moving into Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then you start trading that couple of $100,000 in safer assets because there's a big difference between making money and managing money. And most people go wrong in crypto because they stay on the making money train. And once they've made a couple of $100,000 on these tiny coins, they're still throwing it in these liquid shit coins. You need to move that money then into safer assets, stable coins.
I can't tell you how much money I lost in random shitty pre-sales the end of last cycle. Made a bunch of money in the random shitty pre-sales in the beginning of that cycle. Right?
Yeah.
We were in. I was talking with Nick and our other teammate Nate the other day about Bondly. Remember Bondly?
Yeah, that was massive. Bro, that printed about 200,000 for me. That.
Yeah, it was insane, and I'm thinking because we were so happy we got we closed a client. We made decent money. This past month. But nothing compared to like those days.
Yeah.
But the problem was, and it's a mistake that, I went through, and I hope people who watch the show, they don't have to go through it themselves. But exactly what you said, they keep investing. You make a lot, beginning of the cycle, and then you keep investing in the same kind of stuff, but the returns are diminishing. And then by the end of that run, I mean, we probably invested in 10 or 15 different pre-sales. They never launched.
Never even launched.
Gone.
Yeah. I know.
It's a lesson. It's an absolute lesson, and we're getting better with each cycle. But I do want to ask you a couple of questions about any altcoins that you're looking, because I know you're smaller percentage. But how about like a Dubcat? How about any of the other coins?
Yeah,
that you're passionate about.
I mean, Dubcat. Obviously, I'm passionate about that. And going back to the whole supply control, the Ethereum came back down recently because they're trying to shake out anyone who's not got conviction. The same thing happened with Dubcat. A lot of the early investors were constantly selling. We had to buy them out. So the price got drove down. I mean, this wasn't even like us or we have a massive core in the community of people who believe and support, and we're constantly buying up the supply. But it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. And when you've got loads of, because the market got destroyed, what you had was people coming back to projects that were still holding up, and they were selling them so they could make money, so they can go and gamble elsewhere to try and get lucky. Because this is what people do, don't they? Most people are in this.
It was the one meme coin degen world. That is exactly what you do. And it's it is what it is.
Most of these guys, though, they're in this constant state of hyperstimulation where they can't sit still, they can't invest, and they can't have conviction in a certain position. They just buy, sell, and they're trading for fun. And I was never like that. If I'm honest with you, I was never like that. I enjoy holding a position, having conviction, but sadly. Over the last couple of years, the crypto market's changed, and the Gen Z generation coming in now. I mean, they're sat on Game Boys, mobile phones, laptops, watching TV. I mean, they haven't got the attention span now of even 5 seconds. So you talk about holding. I've been holding Ethereum now for fucking 8 years, bro. These guys can't even.
They ain't holding stuff for more than 8 minutes, sadly.
8 minutes, yeah.
All the time on the show. I know it's funny because we probably sound like grumpy old men promoting the younger generation, and there's a little bit of truth to that. But no, look, this is what's happening. It is what it is. You can kind of you can either fight it and be all grumpy, or you can kind of embrace it and evolve with it.
I love that, bro. I love that. I think my biggest problem right now, bro, is that I'm kind of stuck in my tracks in regards to that's how I like to invest. That's how I am. That's the way that I work. So because the altcoin market now is a Jeep fest and everyone's just jumping from coin to coin to coin to coin to coin to coin, that isn't me. That's just not what I do. So I now stick to Dubcat and Ethereum. Yeah, I'm involved in some other projects that I'm holding long-term, like Wilder World, Illuminex. I'm even holding loads of Ferrum still. Yeah.
Well, you should sell that, my friend, because Ferrum does not exist anymore.
Oh, really?
At least not. At least we haven't been on the team in about a year.
Right.
This is a good lesson, by the way, guys. why you have to actually pay attention to your holdings.
Yeah.
And see what the fuck is happening. If you're investing in alts, that's the thing about alts too, right? Like you need to actually be engaged
Yeah.
because things could happen. A company runs out of money, a product fails, a hack happens, a team member leaves. But if you're
Yeah.
not in the trenches, but that's very hard to do with 20 coins. You
I'm
can't do it
talking
with 20, you gotta do it with
tiny.
5.
I sort of threw it in there just to sort of. I didn't realise.
No,
I
you're
threw,
good, man. It's a
I
long story
I
and it
threw it
sucks.
in
But
there
it
to
is what
help
it is.
you out. I'm not, I'm not really holding much, and it's not something that I was ever going to sell anyway. But it was a couple of $100 from.
A lot of it too, by the way. So and so does Nick. But it is, it is what it is. These things happen in the world of tech. Firm had a great run, 6-7 years in cryptos, and
absolutely, absolutely, bro, absolutely. But
and what we did too. And I actually do have to jump off in a few. Is we took care of a lot of our core community members because when we decided to launch the Surf token, which is the Crypto Paradise token on Pulse Chain, we said we don't want to leave some of these core guys, who have been with us for many years, and just leave them stranded. So we gave them an airdrop. We airdrop a shit ton of Surf tokens to our previous kind of DAO group.
Love that.
And those coins at all time highs were $7,000 an airdrop per person. Probably about 3,000 now at the current levels of Surf. But you do what you do. You do what you can, and you just kind of roll the punches. But to me, one of the lessons from an altcoin standpoint is you got it. You can't invest in too many things that you don't know about.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm
talking about Surf. Actually, one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the show. So I know Dubcat.
Yeah.
You guys have done real world events. I know you've done some UFC stuff. Was it?
UFC in the biggest UFC event in Slovakia, and we're doing like bi-monthly. We partnered with BitGet Wallet to do bi-monthly events in Manchester. But I love what you guys are doing over at Surf. And you know what, bro? Like the token's holding up so well. 1.4 mil market cap. Go back to the Surf chart just for 1 minute. Yeah, it's kind of like it's a falling. Is it a falling pennant or a?
Yeah, the falling wedge.
Yeah, a falling wedge, sorry. A falling wedge is basically as bullish as a bull flag. It's where it's creating lower highs and lower lows, and then eventually the sellers get shaken out, buyers come in. I love that. And you've even drawn on the chart there, the blue arrow at the end where it turns around. Yeah, exactly, yeah. I love that, bro.
That was Nick's prediction like a month ago, right?
It's playing out perfectly, and I expect to see that rallying back up. You know what? I'll grab a bag as well today. I'll grab a little bag.
Grab a bag, buddy. Grab a bag. We'll get you. We'll make sure we got to get this guy in the DAO.
Yeah, the thing is too, Bit Shaman. The reason why, obviously we want to support Dubcat. Everybody watching this, check out Dubcat. $1 million market cap on Solana. I think it has a lot more upside because you guys do have the supply control. And we can talk about that briefly. But the Surf too, why you should grab a bag is, it'll be kind of your first dipping your toes into the Pulse Chain water, and I think you'll be ingratiated over into that ecosystem and can expand your community, and the community will latch onto your energy, and you can see what's going on over there on that network. And the nice thing about Pulse Chain is it's literally a state copy of Ethereum. You're a big Ethereum guy, so it's EVM compatible. It's got a massive Ethereum strategic reserve. If you go to the strategic reserves, the 5th largest strategic reserve of all Ethereum is Pulse Chain Sacrifice Wallet with 166,000 ETH. Wow. With $640 million. So, is
that Richard Hart's foundation?
Well, we don't know. It's just Pulse Chain Sack Wallet. That's how he beat the SEC. But obviously, it's very inferred that Richard Hart controls those Ethereum.
But what happens if Richard Hart, because he's got all kinds of legal issues, hasn't he? What happens if something
He actually just beat the SEC in court about a month ago. So
really?
He won. So it was him, PulseX, Pulse Chain, and Hex all beat the SEC. He still does have an Interpol case, but he's starting to get active on Twitter, which is leading people to believe that his lawyers are settling the Interpol case. His lawyers are actually Elon Musk's lawyers who have a history of settling Interpol cases as well. So we don't want to get in the weeds there, but maybe getting Surf, I think you'll do well with it. And Surf and Dubcat can do some more collaborations, hopefully some IRL retreats. And it'll dip your toes in Pulse Chain, and maybe you can see what that's all about as well.
Love to do some collab between Surf and Dubcat because the communities are amazing.
That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying. And by the way, I think you will love Pulse Chain because it's actually not full of Jeets. It's really more. It's more mature. Like everyone we know who's in Pulse Chain are kind of like older guys. They like DeFi. They're
making me feel worse.
They're doing farming. old by crypto standards anyway. It's not GD at all, really. Certainly compared to Solana. So it's definitely a different vibe in Pulse Chain. But what I want to do, I want to explore with you now, and probably of course offline as well, how we can collaborate, Dubcat and Crypto Paradise, on our upcoming retreats, because I know you're into real world sort of experience.
Sign me up.
Yeah, man. So we're doing this end of the year. Actually, Nick and I will be down in Tulum, Mexico, end of August to scope out some villas, scope out some activities. We're going to talk to the organizer. But basically what this is going to be is or we'll see how many days. Maybe we'll do 3, maybe we'll do 4, maybe we'll do 5 days down there. We're going to rent a private villa. It's going to be about 20 to 30 of us down there, all crypto people, crypto OGs, hanging out, having a good time, talking markets, talking life, getting to know one another, just vibing out. Not very different than your traditional conference, which I think are kind of lame and people milling about a conference.
Really overwhelming sometimes, a conference. I'm exhausted by the end of a conference. I'm like, just give me some time on my own.
I'm not a fan of conferences for many reasons, but this is different. This is a retreat. This is about relaxation. It's about rejuvenation. It's about partying too, right? It can be whatever you want. But definitely, I think there's an opportunity here, Dubcat and Crypto Paradise, to collaborate. So we'll definitely share some more information over with you. You can bring some of your community members. There's going to be ways for you to actually capitalize on that as well. Some referral system we're working on. So yeah, we want to make this happen with you. And I don't think the flights from where are you at in the UK again?
Manchester area.
Yeah, there you go. I can promise you there are flights from Manchester area to Cancun.
I couldn't leave the family behind, so I might have to bring the family. But
we actually have a bunch of community members that want to do that. Now, will the family stay at the villa? No, I don't think you want your kids at the villa.
I don't think. I wouldn't. I'd just stay locally.
Near the villa.
The way that I would do it is I'd stay nearby. I'd come and say hello. I'd stay for a few hours.
There you go. Perfect. Yeah. I'm just saying, the kids should not be at the villa. That's all I'm going to say.
X-rated.
A little X-rated. So, we'll make that happen. I do have to jump off. Speaking of kids, I got to get them from.
I want to say really quick before you go. When I met you, you looked so young, and I was so much younger. And now look at us.
I know. This is what 8 years in crypto will do to you. I didn't have gray hair then.
Bro, I'm falling apart, bro. Listen, I really appreciate it. Love you guys. Mwah.
Great to see you, bud. And we'll hit you up offline here about the surf token and about the retreat.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, though. This is an awesome interview. We'll have you on again soon. And until then, guys, we'll see you on the beach.
See you later, guys.
Crypto is on the rise, making that